Every camera reads color differently, whether it's because of the camera's color signature sensor readout or its white balance algorithm. There will be variations from one camera to another, even if it's the same model by the same manufacturer. Different lenses will also affect the color differently as well. That is why color management should be an important part of any photographer, videographer, or filmmaker's workflow. And although white balancing in camera or in post using gray cards can help you get there, a color profiler system, like a color checker passport, is probably one of the best ways to get the most accurate colors out of your camera and of the images or footage that you shoot. Hang on to the end of this video because I'm going to explain everything you need to know about color checker passports and how to use them to improve the images and footage that you shoot. Hi, I'm Jim Costa. I'm a full-time working photographer, video producer, video editor, and technology pro. I want to get going on the topic quickly, but do stick around till the end of this video because I'll tell you about some freebies and training courses I offer to improve your photography, video production, and filmmaking work, and to help grow your business through something known as earned media exposure, which is basically through free advertising. If you like what you see, smash that subscribe button and hit that bell to be notified every time I upload a new video each and every Wednesday. Remember, I welcome your comments, questions, and more on all of my videos. Before I begin, I want to point something important out. Color checker passports work for both photography and video production applications, but they work a little bit differently. Most of the tips I give you work across both image and video capturing, but where needed, I'll note the differences. The important thing to keep in mind is that you might want to get a color checker passport for both video and photography so you have all your bases covered no matter what you shoot. They are interchangeable, but there are a few differences, so if you have a video-specific one, that will work for video, or a photography-specific one, that'll always work for all your photography. There are two ways you can approach color reproduction in your work. The first is to try and reproduce the colors of the subject as accurately as you can. If you take a photo or footage of someone wearing a red sweater, then you want the photo or video of that sweater to have exactly the same shade of red as the real thing. The other way is to produce colors that are pleasing to the eye rather than being accurate. The key point to understand here is that your camera isn't designed to produce accurate colors. It is biased towards the second approach, which is making pleasing images or footage. The reason behind this is probably quite simple. Camera manufacturers want you to be happy with the photos and videos that your camera produces. That means tweaking colors internally so they look more attractive, even if the color representation is inaccurate. The way your camera records color is determined by the color and white balance settings selected. This is especially true for JPEG files for your photos. If you use the RAW format for your images, you have the freedom to change those color settings when you process the file later. Each manufacturer has a different name for the setting used to control color. Canon calls it picture styles. Nikon calls it picture control. Sony refers to it as creative style, while Pentax calls it custom image. Olympus calls this feature picture mode, and Fujifilm calls it film simulation. Let's take Canon's picture styles as an example. Their natural and faithful picture styles are designed to give reasonably accurate colors, but the others aren't. Portrait mode is designed to give good skin tones. Landscape gives you strong greens and blues, and standard gives you good red. You will not achieve accurate color with portrait, landscape, or standard picture styles, but you may well end up with very pleasing colors in the footage or the pictures that you shoot. Well, what if you simply want accurate color? There are a number of reasons why you might want to do this. When shooting something that needs to be recorded accurately, such as product shots for a commercial client. When photographing flowers, where it is very difficult to tell if the colors are accurate. To make sure that images or footage taken with two different cameras match as closely as possible. To simply start with an image or footage that has as accurate colors as possible as the first step in post-processing, so you can decide in which direction you want to go from a neutral starting point. The truth is that if you want accurate color, you can't rely on your camera settings. You'll need some outside assistance. That's where a color checker passport comes in. This relatively inexpensive device, which sells for around $100 or so USD, is simple to use and integrates neatly with post-processing programs such as Lightroom and Photoshop, and also when color correcting video footage in your editing program. Color checker passports are color charts. There are multiple pages within them. These may vary by manufacturer, but in general, on page 1, the first row of colors is used to ensure color fidelity across all hues. That's a fancy way of saying color matching. The next few rows of gray squares are targets for creating warmer portraits, or to go either warmer or cooler on landscapes. This is great because sometimes a neutral white balance may end up making skin tones look a little clinical and washed out, and some color casts like the orange in the sunset is preferred. In short, you can white balance to those squares to enhance the color of the images and footage that you shoot by changing the Kelvin color temperature setting. Finally, the last row of grayscale squares from black to white is to check exposure, shadow, and highlight clipping, and also includes an 18% or middle gray square as well. The next page down is the classic target. These 24 color squares are industry standard color reference targets for creating DNG profiles and for evaluating specific colors if you're using Lightroom or Photoshop. What this means is that not only are the colors specifically calibrated to match the industry standard colors, but they also represent the colors of natural objects such as sky blue, skin tones, and leaf green. And each patch reflects light just as its real-world counterpart does. Each square is individually colored using a solid tone to produce pure, flat, rich colors without dots or mixed tints. In short, they are extremely accurate representations of colors and will allow you to precisely dial in your colors when you're color correcting. They are like the standard that you set your color to. Because they are industry standards, in theory, it should not matter what camera you're holding when shooting the same scenes in the same light, because the color checker passport will calibrate colors to match those patches when adjusted in post-processing, and therefore everything will match. This is great for those of us who use multiple camera bodies and multiple lenses to ensure uniformity, as well as those of us who composite images together and want to remove color casts from each incoming composite piece to ensure a uniform look. The last page consists of a large, spectrally flat white balance target card you can use to white balance your camera when shooting. You really shouldn't rely on your camera's auto white balance setting, as it can be misled by scenes that have more than average amounts of colors like red or blue. So how do you use the color checker passport? So once you decide on your light source, what you want to do is to point the color checker passport with the pages straight and flat towards the camera, very similarly to how you would use a white or a gray card. A very important thing to remember is to not overexpose your shot, because if you do, you can't create a profile out of this image or scene that you shoot in Lightroom or Photoshop. This is true even if you adjust the exposure settings in Lightroom or any other raw editor, because the color checker passport will ignore any adjustments made to the raw file in Lightroom, for example, and in Photoshop. Also, be sure that the light is evenly hitting the color checker passport at the correct exposure. So have no shadows, for example. And there are not variations like dappled light. I recommend shooting the color checker passport in a few different exposures in your camera just to be safe. take an accurate image or clip, and then others just over and just underexposed, so you end up with one correctly exposed image or video clip that you can use to calibrate to. Doing this will yield accurate color representation that you can use as a reference point later on in post-processing, using the color checker passport to white balance. The final part of the color accuracy equation is your white balance. The color checker passport is small enough to carry around with you just about everywhere. It's pocket-sized. This means that you can use it on location to record colors accurately and to set your white balance. Remember, the passport also has another panel that you can use to take a white balance reading and create a custom white balance setting on location if you need to. Simply point all cameras at the included white card with the same lighting that you'll have on your subject and calibrate all cameras to that at once. Alternatively, you can take a photo of the passport's color swatches in the same light as the subject, that's the first 2 pages that are included that I talked about earlier, and use it to create a new profile in post-processing. In Lightroom's Develop module, for example, you can use the white balance selector to click on the 18% gray swatch, which is second from the left on the bottom row, and I have it marked here. This method ensures both accurate color from the profile and accurate white balance from the 18% gray swatch. So when to use and when not to use a color checker passport. So how often do you need to have a color profile for your shoot? What I recommend is to have at least the 2 to 3 lenses you use the most on each camera body you use the most to be profiled in several different lighting conditions so you can pull them up in relation to that camera body and lens combination when you need to later. You can also just use it for each job and take a snapshot or a video clip of the color checker passport when there is a change of lighting conditions, scene, camera body, lenses, or you move locations or whatever. This is no different than taking a new white balance setting as conditions change. So when should you disregard the color checker passport's results? As I mentioned before, when you want a certain look or feel to the images that a neutralized color profile won't give you. For example, the rich orange and yellow hues during sunsets or golden hour. Another would be if you like certain things about the uncalibrated image better, such as the grain of wood on the wall or the richness of the color green in a forest or something like that. It is really a subjective decision, and given the option, you can take the shot of your color profile and have a photo or a video clip of it in case you need it, and you can use it as a correction reference later if you need to, especially if you are to composite between 2 different images, maybe taken from different camera bodies or different lenses. It's better to have a shot of the color checker passport and not need it than to not take it and find out that you did need it later. So here are a few video-specific color checker passport tips. Remember I said there are 2 different kinds of color checker passports. One specifically photography related that I've been talking about earlier, and one that's video specific. And in many ways they're the same and they are interchangeable to some point, but the video specific one has video specific items I'll talk about now. As far as video is concerned, a color checker passport makes your workflow faster, more consistent, and more balanced. It allows everyone on your team to work with consistent color information. It saves you time from pre-production through production and then post-production, and it helps you get your creative look faster. A color checker passport that's video specific does include the following: chromatic color chips that are aligned with video production. There are skin tone chips, gray balance chips, and highlight and shadow chips, including a high gloss black to achieve the ideal color balance. They call them chips, but it's the same as those squares that we talked about earlier. Grayscale steps include a white highlight, a 40 IRE mid-tone gray, and saturated high gloss black reference patches to achieve perfect exposure. There's a white balance card you can use to create a custom in-camera white balance setting for a consistent neutral point, eliminating the need to color correct each frame later. There are also a very important difference, and that is the focus target. This is a chart facilitating center and edge focus. The main difference here is the focus target chart. A focus chart acts like a target. It gives you multiple areas to zoom in on in order to get the focus you need. You will usually see a focus chart utilized in a controlled studio environment, but it isn't always necessarily going to be there. Focus charts are typically used when working with shallower depths of field. It's common to see focus charts used on a product or a low-light shoot. Focus charts can be used for calibrating lenses and testing your camera's autofocus if you're using it. Using a focus chart, you can quickly determine if your lens or your camera is causing chromatic distortions or if there's a back focus problem. So what are the benefits of using a color checker passport specifically designed for video? It's ideal for filmmakers looking to save time in pre- and post-production as they speed up your editing process. You can obtain a neutral starting point faster than ever before to gain ideal color balance and eliminate color casts. You can achieve consistent color even when ambient lighting changes, enabling ideal quality throughout your entire shoot. It can improve color alignment when multiple cameras are used, taking into account their differences for seamless productions. It can make your editor and colorist more efficient by minimizing editing time with a quick screen grab at the beginning and or end of the shoot, making the color checker passport video one of the best investments you can make to get your creative look much faster. It can help you to take advantage of skin tone patches from dark to light and different undertones that will allow you to see how flesh tones will reproduce in the final product when you're at the shoot location. Now, if this is making sense to you, but I've got it in the comments section below. My question of the day is, have you ever used a color checker passport? If you have, leave a comment below and let us know how it helped you out in your shoot. If you found the information in this video useful, I'd like to hear about it from you. If you liked it and want to see more videos like this, then follow my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films. If you think what you saw was great, please do like it. If you have an opinion, feel free to comment below. If you know someone who could benefit from the information that I provided, please share the video. You can connect with me and my company, Jim Costa Films, on social media and online, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the web by searching for Jim Costa Films. In fact, I currently have over 4,600 videos on my YouTube channel, Jim Costa Films, so feel free to check out many of my other videos for great tips and suggestions. Thank you for sticking around this long. I mentioned at the beginning about some freebies and training. As a professional video producer and photographer, I've created an absolutely free cheat sheet for you on all the best camera settings to shoot with your DSLR, mirrorless or video camera that will show you the settings that will allow your photos, particularly your videos, to shine and stand out from the competition. The link to get that cheat sheet is just below in the video description. Best of all, my cheat sheet specializes in shooting video with any type of camera. In it, you'll find all the info you need on important video techniques, such as white balance, color temperature, frame rates, and more. I've also created an editing training course for Adobe Premiere Pro. My Quick Start training is designed to get you up and editing video in under 2 hours and includes over 100 tips, tricks, and keyboard shortcuts for video editors to get you started in the program and makes your workflow much faster. Now, I'm also affiliated with Christina Nicholson, a fellow media veteran like myself who helps businesses and entrepreneurs reach tons of their ideal customers or clients through the power of media without spending big bucks on advertising. I've worked with Christina and used her advice and training successfully, so I know from first-hand experience that it works great. The program Christina and I are now offering is called the Media Mentoring Program, and it will help you to take advantage of mainstream media so you can stand out from the competition, because that's not something everyone has access to. Best of all, unlike paid ads and sponsorships, you can gain lots of exposure and credibility to become the go-to brand everyone talks about and wants to do business with without spending a fortune on advertising, because the program is geared to get you free advertising. I'll link to those cheat sheets and training courses in the description below as well. There's videos on both courses that will give you an overview of how they can help you, as well as links to get more information. You can help to support my channel by purchasing my training courses, requesting my free downloads, or by hiring me to shoot and edit for you. Remember, I've also done other videos on filmmaking and video production and photography as well, and I'll link to those in the description below. Finally, if you follow me for a while now, you know that I have a private community of photographers, videographers, and filmmakers, just like you, on Facebook, where I share other pro tips and tricks. It's called Video Producers and Content Creators. I love new members who want to share their work, learn from others, and also help others based on their own skills and experiences. The group is private and only for people in the filmmaking, video production, and photography industries that I work in myself. It's not a public group like my business Facebook page that I talked about earlier. That's public and anyone can see that because frankly I want them to find me and hire me to do work for them. You'll find a link to that group in the description below, so feel free to join it where you can learn even more.